Madame LeBlanc, this is Occult Studies Agent Jourdain. Our investigation has yielded an unexpected result. In Washington, D.C. at approximately 0900 yesterday, we received a tip from members of the U.S. Senate who wished to remain anonymous that a clandestine meeting had taken place at an undisclosed location. Based on information provided by the group of senators, a fellow senator was approached by a mysterious group of suits who offered him a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. His colleagues described this opportunity as an unfair advantage that went against the law that were put in place as a safeguard by our higher-ups. According to what we were able to gather from this group, when the individual in question was asked about his new friends over a couple of drinks, he only mentioned a record label. Obviously, to gather the final bit of information, we were forced to offer a few passes that were handled personally by the director. We were introduced to Dream Daughter Music Group, an unknown indie label, which in our field signified one thing: eldritch. As a result of the suspicion of eldritch corruption, the director instructed you to deploy our team of highly experienced occult agents to investigate the senator's personal estate. A thorough search of the home revealed a minor eldritch abomination which has manifested itself from a Zune media player located in the bedroom of the senator's daughter. I ordered the rest of the team to conduct a full sweep of the area surrounding the residence while I was handling that rather peculiar matter. This led to the discovery of footprints believed to belong to the daughter. Besides her tracks, there were a pair of unknown footprints that appeared inhuman, raising red flags. By this point, we had prepared our tactical kits and made sure to carry extra magazines in case we encountered any difficulties. As we traveled through the snow-covered forest, we discovered a hidden eldritch gateway. Because of our special augmented vision, we were able to see past whatever glamour had covered it up. Our journey continued into the gateway, where we were transported to a world between dimensions. It was here that we encountered strange eldritch architecture and disembodied voices demanding obedience. Fortunately, for those possessing eldritch powers, our higher-ups ensured our bodies were equipped with technology that could adapt to any threat. We continued our journey through an ancient temple, where the purple hue of eldritch and primordial light radiated unnaturally through the halls. Eventually, we found ourselves in an enormous chamber, where a young woman was looking down at us, terrified, confused, and in pain.
Please, I don't want this. I don't want to be turned into one of their sirens or whatever they call us. I didn't ask for this. I just want to go home.
As I look back, it is still surprising how quickly the nanites tuned into our temporarily selective hearing to her voice. No matter what, no matter how, we were going to bring this girl home. May the gods help whoever stood in our way. In light of that, it would appear that our presence was clearly not welcomed, as eldritch abominations emerged from the shadows. Our normal approach would be to attempt to negotiate with the unknown entities, but from the strong tension emanating from the magical aura around us, we knew they were here for a fight, and we were glad to provide it. In order to combat eldritch powers, our team spread out around the temple in tactical positions, laying down a combination of small arms fire and protective magical barriers. In the midst of the onslaught of eldritch abominations, we caught sight of the girl, who appeared to be standing on her own 2 feet. Her eyes were closed, her face pale and cold. She glared down at the floor, chanting some form of inhuman rhyme. A gateway was forming behind her, and from it a massive shadow emerged. An enormous mass of nightmarish tendrils and the same purple hue emanated from its aura as it stretched one of its enormous limbs towards us. From the large mass of tendrils, several variations of minor eldritch and primordial horrors formed, and they assaulted our positions like lambs to the slaughter. Madame, I recognize we were taught to accept the worst-case scenario. Several times my team members inquired about an alternative option of falling back, regrouping, and requesting reinforcements. Nonetheless, something told me that day to stay and fight, and even if it meant sacrificing my life, I would not leave that girl to her fate alone. The tide was beginning to turn in our favor, as a noticeable disruption began to take effect on the hulking abomination's form, and even the hordes of horrors began to diminish. Then we realized why. Her eyes were now open. A loud wail echoed throughout the temple as she screamed out against the horror behind her.
Father, you are a treacherous, egotistical, and pitiful excuse for a parent. It was told to me what you did. I have seen the little meeting you attended and the contract you signed. Is it because I am not the preppy socialite daughter you wanted me to become? Maybe I didn't want to be like those fake popular girls who play Barbie. It's my life. No one else's. And I will not serve as a tool in some rotten deal that goes on behind my back.
There was a considerable amount of shaking and trembling throughout the chamber, causing several chunks of stone to fall and crash around us. By this point, the eldritch hordes had completely dispersed, and our team had repositioned closer to the center of the chamber, toward the girl. It was unclear how this would all play out, but we made a promise that we would bring her home, and we intend to follow through on it. Suddenly, however, the chamber began to shimmer and reshape itself around us, and within a blink of an eye, we were standing in some variant of a modern city. Despite the bright lights and the bustle of the modern world, there was something amiss. Neither the people walking by our team nor the vehicles driving on the streets noticed our presence. In a sense, it was as if we were not even there. Suddenly, we noticed the girl standing in the middle of the street. There was a calmness about her, almost a sense of peace. The young woman glared around at the city lights, her eyes a bright purple hue. She turned towards us, smiled, and gently nodded at us. It was without uttering a single word or syllable that a thank you was expressed and a hard truth was accepted. We suddenly heard the sounds of a lone car screeching from behind us, and in a blink of the eye, she was sent hurtling towards the sidewalk next to her. In a matter of seconds, I and my team rushed towards her and secured the fallen girl. I gently picked her up, her motionless head resting on my shoulder. The members of my team had already taken up position around me. It was finally time to take her out of this nightmare. We were stopped by a group of hooded eldritch beings. My squad mates in perfect unison turned and had their guns aimed directly towards center mass. At that moment, the blood ran through my veins, my teeth gritted against each other. And all I could think about was lowering that girl down, withdrawing my sidearm from its holster, and firing multiple rounds into those bright purple cloaks. They did not even bother to speak with us, knowing they were in the wrong, and that we had caught them in the act of illegal dealing. They stepped aside as a portal to a cave system opened up near them. My eyes flashed bright red. We are not yet done with you. You can expect to see the man in red. With that, we took our leave, and after a long trek back, we arrived back at our vehicles with the girl. Time is currently 1700 Zulu, and I cannot recall what it means in normal time. I have ordered my crew to return the girl's body to the base, where Agent Runa will be able to assist with a proper burial for her. A recommendation has already been forwarded to command about visiting the senator, who I'm sure is seated in his office at this very moment, unaware of the serious consequences of his senseless power trip. Madam, I apologize for stating earlier on that I was not compromised. However, I have not been compromised by eldritch forces. I have served you well over the past 20 or so years, as a faithful follower and ultimately as a loyal soldier. I'm aware that this will not be an easy task due to the fact that it is not easy for me to say. It was my final mission, the death today. Watching that young girl lose her life due to simple greed for power, a parent should be there for their child, not sacrifice them to the wolves. The scene reminded me of my own family and how I wish I could be with them. Do not think, however, that I am unappreciative of what I have been given in life. I would gladly accept the opportunity to do this all again, knowing the direction it would lead me. It has been an honor and a pleasure to serve you. As a result, I have already promoted my squad mates and have appointed Agent Corbin as the squad leader. A good man, younger than I, he has already proven his worth. I will be returning to base soon. Right now, I am out in the snow, listening to the sounds of a siren's song.
Sacrifices made for a world that will never know. Her innocent life cut short. Where do we go from here? How many times do we cross the line? If we lose it all, will we survive in time?